Hello and welcome to another TIBS TV mini chat. It's very exciting to be here with you. I have to see my camera set up. That's awesome. Let's fix the hairs. Beautiful. Hello, hello, hello. TIBS is short for the intuitive body and soul. Those of you who said, what does TIBS mean? Okay, so TIBS means the intuitive body and soul. We're a people first organization, and I have been doing these little mini chats because we're all kind of in the house right now, and we wanted to make sure that we stayed connected with all of you. So mini chats was my way of just kind of talking and saying, hi, how are you? And, you know, let's be focused, so on and so forth. So I got several requests, which is very cool because it means that people are listening, they're watching. It's very cool. One was for numerology. Someone says, hey, you know, I know you're a numerologist. How come you're not doing any numerology with us? So that I got another request from my ook playing, which totally thrills me. Surprises me too, but it totally thrills me. And so we're gonna save that one for another time. And also, for those of you who know me, I have certification in hypnosis. I am not a hypnotherapist. I cannot give you medical advice, but I certainly can give you suggestions to help you relax. So there's been a request for hypnosis for relaxation, meditation, and also one for weight control, which totally, you know. So I could definitely relate to that. So we're going to do those. And like I said, I'm really, really happy that all these requests are coming in and that people are thinking about this and they're wanting to share them with their friends and all that cool stuff. And yes, partay. Let's go partay. So today I thought I would do the first request, which was for numerology. Now, numerology is a wonderful kind of science type thing. And I read cards, I read tarot cards, and tarot card readers, the tarot cards are open to interpretation according to the reader. Some of us are more sensitive in one area than others. So even though after years and years of doing this, you can cover all the bases certainly, but there's always an area that kind of is an area of expertise. And so the cards are subjective, so to the reader. So a lot of people who read in a number of different ways. So you may get a card reading from me that differs from a card reading from someone else, although the end result might be the same. Okay, so it's a very cool thing, but it is subjective. So today I want to talk about numerology and how I got into numerology. I actually have quadruple certification in numerology. It's very interesting. And as a Virgo, who's a very detailed kind of, I like a lot of detail and whatnot. Numerology, I was attracted to it because unlike card reading, it's not subjective. The number one always means what a number one means, and number two always means what a number two means, and so on and so forth. All right, so today I thought we'd go very, very basic, and some of you may already know, and if you've come for readings, you already know what your life path number is. So I'm going to show everyone how to calculate their life path number and what that means for them. Okay, so your life path number is whether you believe in reincarnation or not. Reincarnation, it talks about the journey of the soul and how the soul would come back to the earth or another planet, if you believe that, and go through experiences that would help advance the spirit of spiritual growth. Okay, but even if you don't necessarily believe in reincarnation, most people feel that they have a purpose here on this earth, that they didn't just show up for just to show up. Most people feel they have a purpose. Yet we feel that way, but we're not always clear on what that purpose may be. So the life path number helps with that. Okay. So without further ado, let's figure out what your life path number is. Now I'll tell you, because I'm recording this, I'm actually using Zoom, a program called Zoom, to record it. Everything I show you is going to be backwards, it's going to be mirrored, okay? But I think that we'll still be able to kind of get the message across here. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is get a pencil and paper, or a pen and paper, or in this case, a marker and paper. I use the marker because it's darker and everyone hopefully will be able to see. So the very first thing you need to do is put your birth date on here, okay? So I was born in August, so I'm using 8, all right? And I was born on the 27th, okay? So I'm putting 8/27, and I was born in 1953, okay? And don't tell anyone, it's a secret, okay? So that's the year I was born, okay? So now we need to add all those digits together, and the purpose of that is that we want to eventually end up with only one digit, right? So I'm going to add the 8 and the 2 together and end up with 10, and then I'm going to add the 7 to that, and I'm going to end up with 17, and then I'm going to add the 1 to that, and I end up with 18. If I add the 9 to that, I end up with 27. If I add the 5 to that, I end up with 32, and then I add a 3 to that, I end up with 35, okay? So if I add all the digits of my birthday together, I end up with a 35. Now, I said that we wanted to end up with a single digit. So now I have to take the 3 and the 5 and add those together. So 3 plus 5 equals 8. Ta-da! See, now that was really easy. And like I said, I know that this is backwards, but you can get the general idea. I wrote down my entire birthday, and then I added all the digits together. I came out with a 35. I added the 3 and the 5 together and came out with an 8. So my life path number is an 8, all right? So now what does that mean? Okay, I'm here. What does that 8 mean? So we're going to actually start. I'm going to start with the number 1, because you will have your number from anywhere from 1 to 9, certainly. Because if you actually got a 10, you would add the 1 and the 0 together and end up with a 1. All right, so I'm going to briefly go through each number so that you can kind of figure out what your life path number means, okay? So, and also when you're reading tarot cards, when a reader is reading tarot cards to you, the tarot cards are numbered. And I had one here. I will show that they do have numbers on them. They're usually in Roman numerals, but because I'm very interested in numerology, the numbers on the tarot cards are actually very meaningful as well, okay? So if you haven't already calculated your life path number, you can pause the recording, okay, whatever you need to do, and come up with your life path number, please, okay? So if your life path number has, and even though you're breaking it down, like if you ended up with an 11, you're going to go 1 and 1 equals 2, but you want to take note of the 11. If you ended up with a 22, you're going to add those together and come up with a 4. If you ended up with a 33, you're going to add those together and come up with a 6. And the only reason that I'm segregating those 3 numbers is because in numerology, we have what are called master numbers. All right, so if you have an 11 as part, as part of what makes up your life path number, the 11 is the number of spiritual mastery, okay? So you have a lot of spiritual energy. So most people are very excited and happy when they have these master numbers in their life path number. But actually all it means is that when you have a master number in your numerology calculations, it just means that you actually have more responsibility. An 11 having spiritual mastery, it means that whenever you do anything, there are energy consequences, okay, good, bad, or otherwise, right? So an 11 is someone who is aware of energy being moved around through their actions, through their words. So you actually have a responsibility to make sure you're always coming from your higher self, your highest perspective, right? So if someone who maybe doesn't know any better, and that's not a judgment call, everyone is at whatever level they're supposed to be at. But if they don't know any better and they do something really kind of dumbo, you got to cut them a little slack. Okay, if you're an 11, you don't get cut any slack. You know better. And when you know better, you have a responsibility to do better. Okay, so an 11, spiritual mastery, and like I said, it actually just means that you have even more responsibility. Okay, so the same thing with a 22. A 22 is material mastery, but it definitely has a spiritual component to it. All right, so master 22s are people who are creating shelters for homeless people, libraries. They are creating concrete things, all right, that help us. They help other people, they help humanity, they help the human race. So these are the builders, all right? These are the builders of our society, of our race. Okay, and again, you need to come from your higher perspective with this. You're not just going to build a building just for the money part of it, which, absolutely, you got to keep a roof over your head. I don't have any problem with that, but you're doing it with a really spiritual kind of awareness, right? So 11s, spiritual mastery, 22s are building or material masteries, and of course the 33 is a combination of the two. So if you're a 33, you really got a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. So while it sounds cool to have the master numbers, and it means that you've been here a few times and you've learned a few things, and you're probably spiritually in a pretty decent place. So in one way, I guess they are kind of a blessing or a wonderful thing. But it also means that you're here trying to help. You have a spiritual nature, and you need to do things from that highest perspective. Okay, so if you have those numbers that are making up your life path number, keep that in mind. Okay, because again, we don't cut you any slack. You know better. Right, so if you ended up with a 1 as your life path number, the general definition of a 1, right, is it is that you're depending on yourself and you can be kind of a loner. Ones are people who would rather do everything themselves, because if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself, right? So ones are very self-sufficient. They depend on themselves. But from a spiritual, on a spiritual level, the ones are need to pay attention to their own spirituality. So if I have a decision that I need to make in my life, I might talk to people I know care about me, my sister, my brother, my auntie, whoever it might be, and I might ask for advice. And I always treasure advice from people I know care about me. But in the end, you have to do what you think is best. So you kind of take all of that loving energy and information, you keep what resonates, and you disregard the rest. Someone who is a 1 needs to listen to their own higher self, all right? Meditate, quiet your mind, ask your higher self, ask God, wherever you think your source of power comes from, all right? That can be Jesus, that can be Buddha, that can, I don't really think God cares about labels, it's creator energy, it's, so wherever you get your source of power from, get quiet, ask that source, and pay attention to the feelings that you get, to the answers that you get. You may see pictures, you might have a feeling, right? Ones need to learn how to treasure and listen to and value their own thought process. Okay, ones have a tendency to think, okay, everyone seems to know better than me, all right? But That's not always true. You know, you're different. Everyone is different. So what's really awesome for me might be different for you. Okay, so ones need to kind of listen to themselves, and that's why they came here to learn how to do that, how to value their own thought process and their connection to source. Okay, so there's a lot more to it certainly, but that's a very general definition for you. Those who are twos, okay, twos are a call for balance, right? So when someone has the birth number of a two, it means that you know, they're here to learn how to balance energy. What kind of energy? Monetary versus spiritual energy. For instance, if you're doing a job and you're doing it just for the money, okay, then that energy is not really balanced. If you're a workaholic, that's really good for your employer or your business, but it's not necessarily wonderful for your family if, in fact, you don't get to see them very often, whatever it might be. Okay, balance can come in the form of, you know, intuitive body and soul. Okay, talks about the body. Get on your treadmill, get on your bike, go for a walk, you know. If you're a person who has limited mobility, my awesomely beautiful friend Noelle at the Drake Council on Aging, this is a shameless plug for her. She does a live Facebook exercise routine every Monday morning, okay, and they're very low impact. And so you can do it sitting in a chair, okay? So the idea is do something, all right? Exercise, so that's the body part, you know, the intuitive body and soul. The soul part is the spirit part. Do the meditation. Make sure that you're taking good care of your emotional being, taking good care of how you feel, keeping your feelings balanced so that you're not flirting with depression, especially at this time and whatnot. So intuitive body and soul talks about balancing the body and the spirit. Okay, balance. The twos are all about balance. Okay, so if your birth number is a one, it means that you go through significant changes every year in your life. And I mean, that makes you like really flexible, but it's a tough way to go. Two means that you go through significant change every 2 years in your life. All right, so people who are ones, you know, days of the month that have ones in them, so on and so forth, those are good days for you to have decisions made on your behalf. Remember that the one is your number. Same thing relates to the two. The even numbers, the days and years that have twos in them are good days for you to have decisions made on your behalf. Plus, you know, every 2 years, if you're a two, significant changes happen to you every 2 years. Again, you know, this is a really forced kind of, you know, you're going to have to be really flexible to do that. And my number is an 8, so I'm not really good with change. If it's not broken, don't fix it, please, you know. So, if I think back, you know, the most significant things in my life were either right on those 8-year increments or real, real close. And significant change, good, bad, otherwise. So, you know, if you're a two and you decide that you're going to get married, you're going to start a business or any kind of big decision, you're more successful on the 2nd year increment, okay? Ones are more, like I said, they're very flexible. Every year they're doing something, all right? So the twos are a call for balance. And what you're balancing is spiritual and monetary energies. All right, so we're not just talking about, you know, overworking or, you know, working for, you know, with a spiritual intent. We're talking about, you know, find your passion, you know, what is it that you really love to do, and then use that passion to add value to other people's lives. And you have really good balance and you're creating really good ripples throughout time. And, you know, those people are going to use what they learn from you and bring it to their family, so on and so forth. But it's also balance for your immediate self, between your body, your soul. You want to make sure you stay emotionally healthy, Okay, stress, bad stress for any prolonged period of time creates illness on the body. I think that's pretty well known and accepted. So your spiritual and emotional health is as important as your physical health. Okay, threes. Let's move on to the threes. All right, the threes are decision makers. All right, the three is joy through good decision making. People who are threes have a life path number of a 3, go through significant change every third year of their life. When they were 3, when they were 6, when they were 9, 12, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so so again, if you wanted to put a lot of effort into trying something, you're more successful on the third year increment. Days of the month that have 3s in them, a good days for you to have decisions made on your behalf, all of that good stuff. All right, so the 3 is a decision maker. You have come here to learn how to make good decisions. So the 3 is joy through good decision making. So one thing to remember is that wherever you are in your life right now, this very moment, this very second, is due to the fact, it's due to every single decision you've made in your life. Okay, so if you're happy with where you are, that's great. You're probably making really good decisions for yourself, for your family. If you're not happy where you are, then you need to look at that decision-making process and maybe do things a little bit differently. At Intuitive Body and Soul, we have a decision-making process called pathways that we use. And I'll explain to you what pathways is. All right, you're going to sit back and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths in. And I'll use myself as an example. Even though I've been self-employed for many years now, I did have a job, outside of the home. And it was, we're going back a good 30 years or so. And I was looking for a job and got 2 job offers. Now, one job was closer to my home at the time, which was Billerica at the time. Now I'm in Haverhill. But it was really close to my house, but it didn't pay as much as the second job offer. So the second job offer was a little bit further away, but the money was much better. Okay, so I thought to myself, all right, this job that doesn't pay that well, it's closer to the house, so I'm using less gas, and gas was more expensive at that time, and so on and so forth. So I wasn't really sure. Every time I thought about, if you're looking for a job, it's because you need the money. All right, you go get a job because you're trying to support yourself, keep a roof over your head, and you get hired because the company needs the service done or they need the job done. So, so I did a pathways exercise. Now, pathways exercise again is quieting the mind, being quiet, take a few deep breaths in. And what I did is I saw each job as a path. So the job that paid more money was path A, and the job that paid less money was path B. So I would visualize myself getting up in the morning and going to path A, which was the job that paid more money. Okay, how did I feel getting ready? Was I nervous? Was I nervous, happy, nervous? What were my feelings like? So you're actually asking yourself for intuitive input at this point. And if you're a 1, make sure you trust what you get. So I would, try to imagine, how am I feeling getting ready going to this particular job? What about the drive-in, or if you're taking the train? How does that feel? Does it feel, are you anticipating? Is it nervous anticipation, but you're looking forward to it? Or, how are you feeling? Now, once you get into the building or the place, how do you feel there? Are the people friendly? Are they very helpful? What's the feeling? Okay, your new boss, a supervisor, what does that feel like? So you're actually asking, the universe, your higher self, for intuitive input. Now, at the end of the day, and now I'm driving home or taking the train home, what am I feeling? Am I feeling like, oh my gosh, that was horrific, I'm like so stressed out, I hope I do better tomorrow, blah, blah. Or am I thinking, gee, you know, that was really awesome. I'm looking forward to learning more. So you get the idea. You're looking to get a feeling for what you would feel like if you made this decision. Okay. So then I did the same thing with path B, which was the job that paid the lesser amount of money. And when you do pathways, all right, and I only had those two choices because I only got 2 job offers, but you could do that for as many paths as you need, all right, and without fail, as I've done this throughout the years, one job always felt, I mean, one path always felt better. It visually looked lighter maybe, or there was always a way for me to tell which path was the better path for me. And to my surprise, the lower paying job was the better path. Now, I'm scratching my head thinking, okay, I don't know that. And so at that point in time, I had learned, to trust, my intuition and spiritual intervention, all that good stuff. So I went ahead and I took the job that paid less, thinking to myself, all right, I hope I don't regret this. And I ended up liking the job very much and really connecting with the people there. It was very awesome. And as kind of a bonus, they actually were very pleased with me, with the work I was doing. So within a 6-month period, they gave me this awesome raise, which, you guessed it, brought me up to what the other job was offering. Okay, so that's an awesome and very true story. Okay, so, and I ended up being there 14, 15 years. I was there for all that time, and then, went into, did my own thing, went into business for myself. So pathways for you number 3s, and actually for anyone can do a pathways. But 3s are here because they need to learn how to make good decisions. You're where you are right now in your life because of all the decisions you've made in the past. Say that to yourself many times. Take responsibility for who you are and what kind of life you have. And I've heard it said that who you are and what kind of life you have is reflected back to you and all the things that are around you. Okay, so that's something to kind of look at if you need more confirmation or more clarity. Okay, so and number 4, let's move on to 4. At the rate I'm going here, you're going to be here till next year. But I also feel that it's good information, so we'll go ahead and yip and yap at you. Okay, the 4s are, significant change every 4 years, days of the month that have 4s in them. And if you want to do any big projects, any big decisions, you're more successful in the 4th year increment. 4s are people who end up getting themselves in boxed in situations, right? So, 4s, we love 4s, they'll listen to us, they'll help us, blah, blah. And they always get themselves like boxed into these situations where, they all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, how do I get in this situation? How do I get out? Okay, so 4s are people who end up getting themselves in all these situations that, they don't see their way clear to get out, or whatever it might be. Sometimes 4s like really, like to help each other before they know it. They're right in the thick of things, and they're like, how did I get here, and how do I get out? Okay, so the 4s want to learn how to not get themselves in situations that they have a hard time getting out. And there's lots of exercises and visualizations one can do, certainly, to help with all that as well. Okay, energy work is amazing. And again, give your emotional and spiritual health a great deal of priority in your life. You will be amazed at the difference between someone who has very positive self-talk compared to someone who does not. It makes all the difference. Okay, so that's a whole nother mini chat. Okay, so 5s go through significant change every 5 years. They want to create change. 5th year increment is most important. These are the months that have 5s in them. So the 5s are change. 5 is a number of change. So you don't have any progress. We never see any progress with anything without change. So if I'm perfectly happy with my life the way it is, I'm not going to change it. Yet if I decide I want to be healthier, if I want to have more money, if I want to learn how to teach, if I want to be a better artist, okay, or oud player. No, that just came out. Sorry. All that good stuff. If I want to do anything like that, I have to make some changes. All right. So if I want to be healthier, I have to eat nice, clean food, no GMOs, go for certified organic if you can, all right? Especially as you get older, put the good stuff in there. You might want to add a salad to your meals, also organic. Do not eat celery, unorganic celery. That's not organic is the worst. They put so many pesticides. Okay, that's a different one too. So you would have to eat better. You would have to think about exercising or doing things differently. I would have to do things differently. Okay, if I wanted to be a better musician, I would have to fit more practice into my day. Same thing with artistry, practice more, so on and so forth. So in order for you to have any kind of progress, there has to be some change. There has to be some adjustment, some change, all right? So the fives are people that need to kind of embrace that a little bit more, okay? So you don't want to just kind of stay stuck where you are, right? And if you're happy, that's really cool. When I'm really happy, I say, ooh, this is cool. How can I make it even better, okay? And you'll be amazed that the answers, the ideas and stuff that come to you, oh, you know what, this is really cool. If I add this or I do that, go out partying and dancing. Dancing and partying is a great way to exercise, and it is fun. Okay, sixes. Okay, 6-year increments, days of the month that have 6 in them. Okay, so remember, so I don't have to keep repeating it. Okay, so sixes. 6 is all about relationships, right? People who have come back to this earth or here for the first time, if that's what you believe, okay, are here to learn about relationships. You have a relationship with your pets. You have relationships with your children, your bosses, your siblings, your friends, your clients, if you have clients. You have relationships galore, okay? And you, number 6, have come here to explore all different kinds of relationships. And you know this is coming, the most important relationship you can ever have is the relationship you have to yourself. Okay? So you have to be able to look in the mirror or the Zoom camera, okay, and say, okay, yeah, she needs a little work. She could use a share. But you know what? She's a pretty good person. She's a nice friend. I wouldn't mind having her as my friend. That's how you should feel about yourself. You should like yourself. Okay, so 6s need to examine and improve upon relationships, especially the relationship they have to themselves. All right, now, someone came in for a reading, and the first thing she said to me is, I come from a dysfunctional family. So I looked at her and I said, well, join the crowd. Dysfunctional families seem to be the American way of life. Everyone has stuff from their childhood and things that they're working on. And, we don't want to make the same mistakes that parents made, even though we love them dearly. They're not perfect, and neither are you. Okay. And so we want to work on relationships. There was a woman, okay, now relationships of all kinds. There was a woman who came to me and she wanted a card reading, and she said, I don't understand this. She said, every time I get a new job, she said, I'm so excited. She said, but I can't keep them. I get laid off, I get fired. She said, I get the job easy enough. She said, but then I have problems once I'm there. So I said to her, are you having personality conflict problems? She went, oh, yes, And so doing her reading and talking to her, what what she does when she starts a new job is, all the people who are in that office, or, she immediately, befriends them, if you will. She'll talk to them. She wants to get to know them. She's trying to cultivate relationships. And in her last job, her boss came out and said, look, you need to get some work done here. Stop talking to everyone. So she was like totally mortified, and she's like, what am I doing wrong? Okay. So I said to her, well, I said, if you had one job and you said, well, the people there kind of, and I could say, yeah, that's true. Maybe there's just a bunch of people there that, I said, but if this is happening with every single job you have ever had, I said, it's time to start looking inward. Okay. Because not everyone can be wrong. All right. So that's not to say that you're broken, blah, 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 but it means to look inside at your relationships, especially if you're a 6. Okay. So now she had another job that she was starting, and she was like really liking it, but she was nervous. She was going into this job with the idea that she was going to have personality conflict there and end up either getting laid off or fired. And so that's a tough way to start a new job. And so I said to her, well, let's look at this. I said, in your old jobs, I said, as soon as you got into the atmosphere of the business, the office, I said, before you even kind of figured out what the culture of the office was, said you immediately went about the task of making friends. She's very social. She's a very awesome person. I said to her, but I said, the bottom line is, I said, you were hired to do a job. I said, not to make friends. I said, if in fact you make friends as a result from this job, I said, that's a plus. That's really cool. I said, but you're hired to do a job. I said, your job is not to expand your friend base. I said, so I said, when you start a job, I said, kind of keep it on the DL. I said, you're learning. You can kind of observe, how people interact, maybe during work time, they're very focused and busy. And maybe when it comes to lunch or breaks, they're very social. If you're in an office, and this was an office she was entering, I said, if you're in an office atmosphere with people kind of chit-chattering back and forth all day, I said, that's, probably okay for you too, so on and so forth. I said, but I said, you can't just go in somewhere and kind of, set about just trying to make friends. If you make friends, that's awesome. But you're hired to do a job. Do your job. I said, your boss should never have to come out and say to you, look at, I'm glad that you get along with her, but I need this stuff done. Okay. And that was actually said to her. And like I said, she was totally devastated. So, so we did some meditations. We did a little bit of hypnosis in there. And she is still at this job, 3 years later, and does have some friendships out of it too. So, so for you 5s, again, look at change. For you 6s, look at relationships. All right. You are here to explore and develop relationships, good relationships, especially your relationship to yourself. Okay. So, I mean, with her, we could go really, really deep and say, why did she feel she needed people to feel worthy, blah, 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 this and that. Okay. And we did go through all that cool stuff. And like I said, give a little bit of suggestion here and there, and create a nice self-worth for her. And then she, like I said, she's still in this job. People seek her friendship out and so on. So you can do it. You can do it. Okay. 6s, relationships. All right. So, how is your relationship with your children? How is your relationship with your siblings? So on and so forth. All right. So these, you're here all about relationships, kid. Okay. And your work cut out for you. But it's, bigger payoff on the other end. There's a book by Khalil Gibran called The Prophet. It's a very small little book. It's the most awesome thing that I ever read. And one of the things that really stood out for me is Khalil Gibran said, the amount of joy you can experience is directly related to the amount of sorrow you have experienced. And I thought, Okay, when I was younger, I was told I would never be able to walk independently, and I thought, ooh, it's not the goal here. So, so I walk. You know, I'm not very graceful, and I walk, but I certainly walk. And so my point is I have a hip replacement. I have this. My point is that just going from the house to the car used to be uncomfortable, or if I drove in the car for a long time, my legs go to sleep, so on and so forth. So now that doesn't happen anymore. I walk from my house to the car, and they go, oh my God, this is so cool, this is awesome. Where, most people maybe would take that for granted. Okay, so Khalil Gibran said, the amount of joy you can experience is directly related to the amount of sorrow. So if you've had problems walking and now you can walk, you are joyful, okay? And you can apply that to just about anything, all right? So if you're going through a really tough time, or you have this really big challenge, whatever it might be, work on it. Work on it. Make some change. Make it a focus, okay? Because the joy on the other end of that, very cool, all right? Sevens, let's look at sevens. Sevens go through significant change every 7 years of their life, and sevens are good times to have decisions made in your behalf. When you have a 7 on the calendar, 7-year increments. Okay, so sevens are sevens. 7 is a number of responsibility, taking responsibility. Again, look around you. This is here because you created it. Take responsibility for your life. If in fact, something is not quite right, or you wish it would be different. So you need to take responsibility for that and say, this is the life that I created. And the sevens have a tendency to kind of cycle, okay? As a reader, I get a lot of people, young ladies come in and they're like, how come I'm such a jerk magnet? And so I look at them and I say, well, I don't know. Why are you? What are you getting out of it? If you weren't getting something out of it, you wouldn't do it, right? And they look at me like, I'm paying you to tell me that? Yeah, you already knew it. I just need someone else to tell you. So what's the payoff, So these young ladies, they, especially in today's society, the magazine models are beautiful. They have, tans and all this and that. So our young ladies growing up are constantly comparing themselves, and that affects their self-worth. And so sometimes when they meet they meet someone who makes them feel beautiful, makes them feel good. They're looking for themselves, looking outside themselves for self-value and evaluation, so on and so forth. And then there are some women who are attracted to, for lack of a better word, needy guys, all right? Or they're attracted to someone who's been drinking or has problems. And if they can help that person and make them better, that makes them feel like, gee, I did such a good thing. I'm a good person, blah, blah, blah. So again, they're looking outside themselves for value. They're looking elsewhere for people to, let them feel valuable, let them feel good about themselves, right? So the answer for that goes back to a 6 and, talk about relationship to self. All right. Now the 7, like I said, they have a tendency to cycle. So it's like, I went out with this guy. I thought everything was going really good. We were really, really good. Then this happened and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, just move on, open the door, yell next. So another guy comes in and things are really cool. It's exciting, brand new relation. And ultimately the same thing ends up happening over and over again. So now they think, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. All right. So that kind of reinforces that they need to look outside themselves for value. So the universe, if you're a 7 and you're here to take responsibility for who you are, your life, so on and so forth. Granted, there are things you have no control over, but there are a lot of things that you do have control over. Okay. And so the universe, God, the universe will, its goal is to help you succeed in your spiritual journey. So the universe will bring about certain situations that will help you to learn those things, right? And if you don't get the growth out of the experience, then the universe has to bring it around again. If you're still not getting anything out of it, you have to bring it around again and again. And you see where I'm going with this, right? That until you get what you need from these experiences, you will continue to cycle through them. So take responsibility for the cycle and figure out what the heck what it is you need to know. Okay, if you're a person who is not very patient, you might magnetize situations to yourself in which you need to practice being patient, right? And if you really blow it, then it comes, you keep magnetizing and drawing to yourself those situations that are going to help you develop patience, okay? So I think that you get the idea. You sevens are cycling. Take responsibility, and that's why you're here, okay? So take responsibility and stop the cycling. We come to 8s. This is peach tea, by the way. Everyone, I drink it a lot. And everyone keeps saying, what's in there? What are you drinking? It really is just iced tea. It sounds boring, but it's really just iced tea. Okay, number 8s, all right? 8. 8 is a kind of materialistic number in that it means that we have everything that we need in life, but we're really having to work for it, okay? 8s are kind of really worker bees. We tend to be leaders more than followers. We can be kind of strong-minded. I guess so. I guess we can be kind of strong. I like to think of myself as a woman of strongly held opinions. Isn't that nice? Okay, a little stubborn. So 8 is also, the number of the body and taking care of the body and all that good stuff. So, 8s go through significant change only every 8 years. And it doesn't mean that you don't go through some stuff, littler stuff, but major changes and influences happen only every 8 years. So again, we have the whole flexibility thing. It's like, okay, if it's not broken, leave it alone. Don't change it. Okay. So the 8s are learning flexibility, certainly, but they're also learning how to work to get what they want. All right. If you're someone who believes in the journey of the soul in previous lifetimes, you may have had things handed to you. You may have lived a privileged life. And so in this lifetime, having to work your buns off to get what you need and what you want and get that feeling of accomplishment and so on and so forth, study, right? So the 8s really work a lot. And the 8s actually have to work a lot at their physicality as well, okay? 9s, let's go to 9. 9 is the last number that we're going to talk about today. And then 9 is the number of spiritual completion. And again, when people hear that, they go, oh, well, if I'm spiritually complete, why do I have this problem and that problem? And my husband is really angry and she is really... Okay, for the exact same reason, 11s and 22s, all right, you're here because, you've completed a spiritual journey or contract, and, you probably did not have to come back to the earth plane, but you came back to help the rest of us out, right? 9s know that when they do anything, they are sending energy into motion, okay? So again, you have a responsibility. When you know better, you have a responsibility to do better. I know this young woman who, her family, her sisters in particular, always make these really kind of painful decisions. And so she's like, where are they coming from? How can they make this? And I say, well, maybe this is the best decision that they knew how to make. And she's like, yeah, but I said, well, you know better. So you have a responsibility to do better. I said, for them, maybe you've got to come a little slack because, you know, they're still kind of going along and trying to figure things out a little bit. Oh, so not only I have to figure. I said, well, I said, that's totally up to you. You know, I said, but I said, understand that everyone, I haven't met anyone in my entire life who doesn't want to have a good life. So everything that we do, every decision we make is towards that end, right? We make these things, these decisions, because we think it's going to improve our life. We're going to have a happy life, right? So the bottom line is everyone does the best they can, and some people's best sucks. Yes, I said it. Okay. So, and believe it or not, even though that sounds like a judgment call, it is not really, because, you know, they're doing the best that they can. All right. And, you know, everyone's best changes. Right? I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You're actually not you're always changing, right? And hopefully growing. But I can think of many decisions and things that I did throughout my life that I'm like, what was I thinking? That was such a dumbo thing to do. But the truth is at that time in my life, given my age, my life experience, that was the best decision that I knew how to make. Okay, so that's true of the people around you. Okay, so one of the dubious examples that I used in one of my presentations one time is I said, take a bank robber. I said, now I'm certainly not condoning anyone robbing banks or doing anything against the law. I said, but, you know, consider for a minute, why does someone rob a bank or try to rob a bank? Because they think if they can get away with it, then they're going to have all this money. It's going to make their life comfortable. Maybe they're going to go away to an island and, you know, palm trees and whole. So in reality, they're doing this because they think it's going to improve their life or their life situation. All right. So it's not a good decision. And most of the times it doesn't work. Yet, that's the best they can do. Okay. So they have to learn how to make better decisions. So like I said, that was kind of a dubious example, because people kind of looked at me and like, really? She's really saying that? But the concept is that we all do our very best because we want to have a good and happy life, right? So again, it's not a judgment call. This person's doing the best they can. So if they're doing stuff that is not too awesome, you know, again, kind of understand that that's, you know, that's where they are. If someone's deliberately being a jerk or whatever, you know, that's a different story, but you can tell the difference, you know. Okay, so without further ado, okay, I'm going to say there are many other components to numerology. You can figure out what your karmic number is, and that's always a favorite with everyone. We want to know how we're doing, what's our karmic report card, and what is karma, and all that good stuff. But again, I'm going to save that for another little mini chat, and we'll talk about karmic numbers, maturity numbers. All right, so we'll kind of go along with that, and you know, look. Intuitive Body and Soul, besides having a website, which is www.intuitivebodyandsoul.com, also have a meetup site, which is meetup/Intuitive Body and Soul, I think. We also have a Facebook page. So there's lots of ways to get in touch. And the reason I bring it up, not only so that you will know, is that, you know, numerology reports, numerology classes, so on and so forth. We run them throughout the year. So if it's something that you are interested in, get in touch and we'll do all that good stuff. Okay, so for now, I'm going to say goodbye. Have an awesomely good day, and I send you lots and lots of love and light. Till next time.